Again, we are on the weird camera angle. Well, not the weird one, the camera angle that I shoot my show from For Canon's Sake, excuse me. Just got through shooting the video, which is live by the time you're seeing this, or the podcast. Great episode with Nerd Roddick. Big shout out to him. Talked about a lot of good things just regarding comic books and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to show you guys something that has nothing to do with this video, by the way. But I'm going to show you guys something. It really does reiterate some of the things that I say. And the reason why I'm commenting on it, may seem very small. Maybe it may seem very small, but you'll know where I'm going. You'll analyze it, and you'll see what it is that I mean when I say that definitely Twitter, but not just exclusively Twitter, it's not a representation of what real life is. That doesn't mean that people don't depict things that they really do on there. But if you look at it from a cultural standpoint and what dominates, let's say, the platform, it does not mean just because it exists and just because this is maybe the shared narrative does not mean that this is true. And this is going to be something so small, but it connected with me. You'll understand. Let's get into it. So this guy here, right? Pause this. And remember, there's a subject that we're not going to be talking about. We'll talk around it, but we're not going to be talking about that specifically. It's not what the video is about. But there's a video in which Glenn Beck, he's talking about, somebody shares it, and he's saying that people, and Glenn Beck's an older guy, saying that people should, get back to work, okay? Now, this guy who is this man? He is a former federal prosecutor. He is, so he's a CNN legal analyst, right? So you would think a guy of all people would know that or understand sort of, and maybe it depends on how you view lawyers. But you would think that this guy would understand the importance of not being dishonest, or maybe again, depending on how you look at it, you might be thinking this is exactly how they act. Touche. But he says, I'll believe it when I see Glenn Beck go to work at a supermarket or a hospital instead of working alone at his desk from home. So he's trying to paint this narrative as if Glenn Beck just works at his desk from home. That's what he literally says. That's the falsehood that he's operating from. Now, the reason why I was like commenting on this and wanting to say something about it, because I'm connected to it, and you've seen me on the Blaze, so I know this. Like, this isn't something that not only that you can easily research, anybody can research this, of course. This is something that I'm verifiably connected to, in a sense that I know that this is objectively false, even if I didn't do the research. Glenn Beck, and this is not opinion, right? We're not operating on an opinion. This right here is Glenn Beck doesn't work working alone at his desk from home. He doesn't do that. That's the narrative he's trying to paint. This guy paints, but anybody that should be able to use Google should understand or be able to find out that this is not true. You know, Glenn Beck, he has his own studio that he sort of runs, or is part of teams that run it, a massive studio. And it has dozens, hundreds, possibly, at a given time, of people that are going in and out, obviously being in contact with the real world, interacting, doing whatever they do, and they come right in through the door. And he interacts with them. He'll shake their hand and do so and so. I know this because I myself have been on the Blaze, I don't know how many times. And for a long time, really, ever since even Dana Loesch was over there, I'd been there, and I'd appeared on multiple shows over at Blaze, including sitting alongside Glenn Beck in a roundtable discussion. That's why I really think that Glenn Beck doesn't really get to, I think, again, if you believe what other people say about him, you think that he was just like this echo chamber, crazy conservative. But that's not how it is. If you've watched the news and why it matters, you see even myself and Glenn Beck go at it like on the concept of like foreign policy. Him and I have gotten in arguments. And I've come in not even as a guy that actually like worked for the Blaze, not being paid on their payroll. I would go in. I've been on News and Why It Matters with Glenn Beck multiple times as a guest, and a roundtable discussion. And I see it with my own eyes. I've seen him do his shows. I've seen him come into so he is not in some environment where I get to just sit in my little home. I'm completely detached from reality. No, that's just not how it works. Anybody that could use Google should be able to figure that out. Yet, this guy posted this. It's based on a falsehood, but he posted it anyway. I don't care how you feel about Glenn Beck. It's completely irrelevant. Don't care. It's completely irrelevant to the point. This right here is an objectively false. It's based on a falsehood. He works in an environment in which he is coming into contact with other people, numerous peoples, on any given day. That's what his job entails. That's what he does over at the Blaze. I've seen it. And you could see it if you just, looked it up. But he posted this anyway. He still posted it. Literal thousands of retweets, thousands of likes. Yet it was posted. An objectively false statement with a guy with a blue check mark who claims to be, or not claims, I don't know. He's a former federal prosecutor. Still posted this as if it was like, yeah. Look, guys. This is why I think it's a good idea for you to check out. And not just with Twitter. I know we've come consumed with social media. It's a blessing and it's a curse. I'm not going to deny the blessing that it is that allowed me to connect with people that I've never would have connected with. And some of you guys can say the same. But when you have statements like this, it's something small, right? It's just like, oh, well, it's just popping off a snarky comment. I get it. But I bet so many people believe that statement is true, like Glenn Beck, and works alone at his desk from home. And he doesn't. So then you think about all the other things that people maybe lie about. Or say things based on, that's predicated on based on a falsehood. So it's like you are asking a question or making a statement based on something and presenting it as if it's a truth, and it's not, which is what basically this guy did. I'm going to try to take shots at Glenn Beck to say that he is basically detached from reality and he does not see the narrative that he's trying to paint is that he's detached. He doesn't have to experience the backlash or the consequence of other people going out and getting back to work, which he is now. But when it's about likes, it's about retweets, it's about snarky comments, it's about validating the narrative that maybe the people that like you and share your stuff want to believe, no matter how false it is, no matter how untrue that it is. I like to at least be, even if I say something that I'm wrong about, like when I say I'm wrong about, if I make a statement, and I try not to do this, it's not often that I do this, but if I ever were to make a statement that misrepresented someone's actual claim or what it is that they do or what it is they live, like if I said that this person did this and that is objectively not true, I should have my feet held to the fire and I should have enough integrity as a human being, as a man, to be like, I got it wrong. I got it wrong. And everybody, that's the least you can do. I don't care if I disagree with you. I don't like you. I don't care if you don't like me. The least we owe it to each other is to be honest about the positions that we each other. We can debate the ideas all day long, but at minimum, we can at least be honest about the positions or the life that people. If we're gonna make those positive claims or snarky comments about them, right? That's the least that we can do. That's the least that we can do. And if it is addressed, apologize. You got it wrong. Apologize. Take it down. It shouldn't. It's nothing to be wrong. We're all wrong. We're human beings. We make mistakes. That should be something that's just so easy to do. Okay, it's so easy to do. But hey, man, when it's about, again, validating, it's not about the truth. It's about validating, speaking to a narrative, right? So people want this to be true. They want this statement to be true. So they share it. They like it because it sounds good, even though it's verifiably false. Like I said, you don't need to do a bunch of research to know what it is that I said. I just happen to see that, and I'm like, well, I'm looking at this statement. This is wrong. Like, this is based on something that is not true. But and it's not because I just knew that. It's because I've experienced it. Just right as a guest, a guy that, hey, you're in the area, want to come by, speak to the show. I'm friends with these guys. A lot of those guys, I go. They even know, they expect and anticipate, hey, this roundtable discussion. I'm probably going to disagree with them on a certain subject. Whereas they may believe this about this, and that. I'm a libertarian. Some of those guys are not. That's just what it is. It's a bunch of stuff like this floating around, man. It's more so, I would actually say that speaks to the culture of what it is, definitely on Twitter, but not exclusively to Twitter. So I encourage you, do what I did. Do what I do every now and then. Check out. Just check out. Just check out. I know we be in our phones. Doesn't matter what it is. Just check out. I did that for a week. And I do that for a week every now and then. May do it for 2 weeks. Maybe do it for a month. Who knows? Just, you know what? I'm checking out. No Twitter for this extended period of time, or minimum interaction on Twitter or social media. And you will see and you will notice that it's not necessarily representative of the world. Like, if you, prime example, not just this, if you see what people say about certain, let's say, cultural and racial relations, right? You would think that at every given turn, man, it's just racism everywhere. Aggression and racism everywhere, as in, like, I can't even exist, as if I can't even exist as a black person and go about life and interact with other people without having to look over my shoulder or something. And it's just not like that, man. It's not like that for a lot of different people. And maybe that's your personal experience, but let Twitter tell it. I mean, it's just dramatized and it can put you in a bad way. It can actually be sort of, I don't want to say depressing, that's the wrong term, but it can put you in a bad way if you consume this so much and so regularly that you think that this is like real. Now, that's not to say that there aren't things that people post on Twitter that's real. Absolutely there are things, of course, that people post on Twitter that's real. But when you look at it in combination and you see something like this, is just such a simple statement, right? That a guy just utterly he just lied about. It's just not, he's basing it on something that is verifiably false. False. Objectively. It's not even up for, this is a dispute. Well, it's not up for dispute. Glenn Beck is where he doesn't necessarily work in a supermarket or a hospital, but he doesn't work alone and at home in his desk. That's not what he works to do. He doesn't do that. That's not his job. I know that objectively. But when it's about the likes, the retweets, who cares? Who cares, man? Who cares? People don't like Glenn Beck, therefore he can, that guy, he can say whatever he wants, snarky comments, hee ha ha, like retweet, and all of these guys are liking and retweeting something that's based on a literal lie. That simple. What other stuff are they lying about?